Some NBA trades don't just change teams, they change history. They turn future Hall of Famers into the ones that got away and leave entire fan bases wondering, what were we thinking? What's wild is that most of these trades didn't even look bad when they happened. They made sense on paper. A team chasing a playoff run, a star demanding out, a front office desperate to win now. But then time passed, and those decisions turned into legends of regret? From giving up a future GOAT for a solid role player, to trading away entire decades of draft picks for one fading superstar, these deals became the blueprint for how to destroy a franchise in a single phone call. Today, we're breaking down the actual worst trades in NBA history, the ones that still haunt teams even decades later. Because behind every dynasty, there's usually another team asking, why did we ever say yes? Not every bad trade looks bad at first. Sometimes it starts with excitement, a blockbuster move, a headline that makes fans think, we just got better. But the truth? The worst trades usually fail long before the players ever hit the court. It starts with impatience. Teams convince themselves they're one piece away from a title. They trade away young players, draft picks, even identity, just to chase a moment that never comes. Then there's ego. GMs and owners want to prove they're smarter than everyone else, and they think, we can fix this player. Or, he'll be better here. But talent doesn't bend to wishful thinking, and when it backfires, the cost is brutal. And finally, there's the trap of short-term vision. Winning right now feels good. But in the NBA, the right now move can erase a decade of potential. That's how you end up giving away a future MVP, or trading the pick that becomes a generational star. These are the ingredients of a truly awful trade, the kind that doesn't just fail on paper. It haunts a franchise. Because for every team that lands a superstar, there's another left staring at what could have been. And the stories that follow? They prove just how devastating one bad decision can be. Some trades don't just hurt a team, they build someone else's dynasty. And once they happen, there's no undoing the damage. Take 1956. The St. Louis Hawks drafted a young center out of the University of San Francisco named Bill Russell. But before he ever played a single NBA game, they shipped him to the Boston Celtics for Ed Macauley and Cliff Hagan. Good players? Sure. But Russell went on to win 11 championships and become the cornerstone of the greatest dynasty the league has ever seen. The Hawks? They've been chasing that level of success ever since. Then there's Wilt Chamberlain. In 1968, the 76ers traded the most dominant player of his era to the Lakers. The return? 3 decent players, but no stars, no future. The Lakers went on to win a title with Wilt. Philadelphia? They collapsed and didn't sniff contention again for years. And perhaps the most quietly devastating deal of all, the Warriors-Celtics trade. That sent Robert Parrish and the draft pick that became Kevin McHale to Boston. Golden State got Joe Barry Carroll and Ricky Brown. Boston got 2 Hall of Famers and another decade of banners. One trade built a dynasty, the other buried one. These weren't just bad trades, they were turning points. Moments where one phone call reshaped the balance of power for an entire generation. But as painful as those are to look back on, some teams managed to do something even worse. They didn't just give away greatness, they gave away the future. If you think losing a dynasty piece hurts, imagine trading away a player who hasn't even become a star yet. Someone who could have changed everything. In 1996, the Charlotte Hornets made a decision that still stings almost 30 years later. They drafted a skinny 17-year-old kid named Kobe Bryant, then immediately traded him to the Lakers for veteran center Vlade Divac. At the time, it made sense. The Hornets wanted a proven big man. But that safe move became one of the worst decisions in NBA history. Kobe turned into a 5-time champion, an MVP, and an icon who defined an entire generation. Charlotte? They became a trivia question. Then there's the 1998 draft night swap. The Milwaukee Bucks traded away the rights to a young Dirk Nowitzki for Robert Tractor Traylor. Nowitzki went on to become an MVP, a finals champion, and one of the greatest power forwards ever. Traylor played just a few seasons before fading out of the league. Milwaukee could have had 20 years of stability, as instead they had regret. These aren't just mistakes, they're missed eras. Moments where one player could have rewritten a franchise's history, but it doesn't stop there. Because in the modern NBA, even billion-dollar organizations keep making the same mistakes. And somehow the consequences are even bigger. You'd think that after decades of watching trades go wrong, teams would have learned their lesson. But somehow the mistakes just got bigger and a lot more expensive. Let's start with the Brooklyn Nets in 2013. Desperate to make a playoff push, they traded away almost their entire future. Multiple first-round picks for aging legends, Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. It was supposed to make them contenders overnight. Instead, it made them irrelevant for years. Those picks turned into the foundation of the Boston Celtics' new dynasty. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, all born from one of the worst front office gambles ever made. Brooklyn mortgaged its future, and Boston cashed in on it. And then there's the trade that still has fans arguing in real time. The 2025 blockbuster between the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Lakers. Dallas sent away Luka Doncic, one of the most gifted offensive players in modern basketball, for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a distant 2029 first-round pick. At first, it looked like a shakeup that might help both sides. But as Davis's injuries piled up and Luka turned the Lakers into instant contenders, people started calling it one of the worst modern trades ever made. For Dallas fans, it wasn't just a loss, it felt like a betrayal of their own future. These modern deals prove one thing: you don't have to be stuck in the past to make historic mistakes. Even today's billion-dollar front offices loaded with analytics, data, and scouts can still be blinded by desperation and ego. And when that happens, it's not just a bad trade. It's a meltdown that echoes for a decade. But here's the question: why do these mistakes keep happening? With so much history to learn from, how do teams still fall into the same traps? So how do these mistakes keep happening? How can some of the smartest executives in basketball, people surrounded by scouts, analysts, and millions in data, still make trades that destroy their own franchises? It usually comes down to three things: pressure, ego, and fear. First, there's pressure. Fans want results now, owners want playoff money now, and that urgency forces GMs into panic moves, trades meant to save a season instead of build a legacy. But you can't shortcut greatness. The league has never rewarded desperation, it punishes it. Then there's ego. Every GM thinks they're the one who can fix a fading star or make a risky player fit. They believe their system, their culture, their coaching staff can do what no one else could. And sometimes, that confidence turns into blind spots that cost everything. Finally, fear. The fear of missing out on a big name. The fear of losing the fan base. The fear of standing still while everyone else makes headlines. That's how you end up trading your future for one big splash, and realizing too late that the pool was empty. Bad trades repeat because the people making them are human. Ambitious, impulsive, emotional. And in a league driven by fame and pressure, it only takes one wrong call to undo years of smart decisions. Because at the end of the day, trades aren't just about numbers, they're about belief. And sometimes belief is the most dangerous currency in the NBA. When you look back, every bad trade tells the same story. A team chasing certainty and losing everything that made them special. The Hawks gave away Bill Russell, the Hornets let go of Kobe. The Nets handed Boston their future on a silver platter. And now, Dallas might have just done the same with Luka Doncic. Each one was made by smart people who thought they were doing the right thing. That's the scary part. These aren't clueless moves, they're confident ones. And that confidence, when mixed with pressure and ego, is what destroys dynasties before they ever start. Because in the NBA, one trade can define a decade. It can turn a rebuild into a dynasty, or a contender into a cautionary tale. And the craziest part? Some of the next worst trades ever are probably happening right now. So here's the real question. When we look back 10 years from today, which team do you think we'll be talking about next?